Hi, I'm Ken Beller. Do you ever feel like your day is just one conflict after another? Maybe it starts out frustrating at breakfast, when you're late for work and you ask your daughter to wash the dishes before she goes to school, but all you get from her is why, while she just keeps texting her friends. Follow that with more frustration at work, when you're excited to tell your boss all about a great new idea for a website design you had, but he or she doesn't even give you time to explain the details. Round that out with a call from your elderly father claiming that the air conditioner repairman is trying to rip him off and he's just going to get up on the roof and fix it himself, even though you've told him 100 times, "Dad, you can't do that kind of thing anymore." Well, I don't know about you, but that kind of day sounds all too familiar to me and to most people I know. We all face conflicts like these every day, at work and at home. They drain our energy, increase our stress, and eat away at our happiness. And maybe you've tried many ways to deal with these conflicts, but nothing really seems to help. Well, I felt that way too, until my colleagues and I at Nearbridge started studying generations for our book, The Consistent Consumer, and realized that generational differences were the root cause of a lot of the conflicts we all faced. But as we look deeper into the traditional approach to generations, like baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, we found some big problems. First, other than a boom in the birth rate after World War II, there really wasn't much rhyme nor reason as to why people were put into these categories. Second, the traditional approach tries to predict how people will behave in the future based on how they behaved in the past. Unfortunately, this approach doesn't work. But what we found does work is understanding people's deep-seated and often unconscious shared values that were created when people were growing up. Values, that was the missing piece to all this conflict. After all, growing up with such different experiences, different generations really do come from completely different worlds and have completely different values. It's no wonder we have so much conflict. It's this understanding of generational values that I'll share with you in this course. Personally, it's really helped reduce the conflict and improve the relationships in my life, and I think it will in yours too. So, what will you get from this course? Well, first you'll get a walk down memory lane. You'll see a short video that highlights major events, movies, music, commercials, and more from the era you grew up in. You'll learn how these events formed deep-seated values in you, what these values are, and how these values influence your actions and relationships today. And with our approach to generations, you'll discover that you're part of a generation you never even heard of before, and that its description makes a lot more sense to you than the traditional one. Of course, you'll also learn about 5 other generations of people in your life, like your coworkers, your parents, your kids, your spouse, your friends, pretty much anyone who was born in America and is of a different generation than you. You'll learn about their history and how they see the world, their generational values, and the special gifts their generations have to offer. Now, usually I present this material to clients such as the U.S. Navy, California Closets, and the Miami Heat to help them in several ways. To begin with, it's very useful in sales and marketing to help better communicate and connect with customers. It's also extremely helpful within the organization to improve things like recruitment and retention, so they can better attract employees from different generations and reduce turnover and retraining costs. And part of that is creating rewards and incentives that appeal specifically to employees of different generations. After all, what motivates one group can be completely opposite of what motivates another. And all this helps make diversity and inclusion efforts more complete, since generational differences are one of the most overlooked aspects of diversity and inclusion. The bottom line is this: in any setting that requires 2 or more people of different generations to work together, this knowledge helps reduce conflict. And spending less time in conflict frees up more time to collaborate and be productive. So this really does help in the workplace. But do you know what the most common feedback I get is? It's, "Wow, you really helped me understand my kids better," or "You really helped me understand my parents better." It's so satisfying for me to see this knowledge help people both at work and at home. And that's why I'm offering it as an online course, so more people can have breakthroughs like these in their lives. So, to help you use this knowledge in your daily life, I've included with this course various printouts, including one that summarizes the core values of each generation and one that summarizes the key attributes of them. I've also included something I call avatars that give you snapshots of each generation all on one handy page. You'll find these sheets throughout the course in the materials area, so please keep an eye out for them. They'll help you remember how the person or group you're trying to communicate with sees the world. Now, while this knowledge has really helped me get along better with people in my life, especially my wife and my parents, I try to remember that it's just one tool in my bag and not the only tool. It's also a sociological tool and not a psychological one. So, in other words, it applies to large groups of people growing up at the same time in America, but not always 100% of the time to every individual in those groups. After all, we're all unique individuals, and while our generation is an important part of who we are, it's not the only part. So, I use this generational knowledge not to stereotype or put people into rigid boxes, but to understand part of what is unique about the people in my life, and I encourage you to use it that same way too. Now, I do want to let you know that part of this course is a recording of a live event I originally presented to a major entertainment company. That company wishes to remain anonymous, so when I mention the company's name, you'll hear a short bleep instead. There will also be times when I check in and talk with you personally, like this, to explain some things I didn't have time to fully go over in the live event. Okay, thanks so much for your interest in this course. I really hope you enjoy it and find lasting value in it. So let's get started and watch the next video.